This is Arukh HaShulchan YD, Siman Lamates, Sif Tzadi Beis, Tzadi Daled. This is Supplemental Day 282 of the Arukh HaShulchan YD series. Rabbi Menachem M. No difference with this, the circle which goes to two different places. That's all the stations are going to learn till you get the simon. The custom all these in our countries is treif treif up everything. The English can't deviate. It's an ancient custom, Bashkenaz in Germany, Tzarfas, and in France, Sha'anu, that we in Eastern Europe, the name are from their descendants. You can't, any haserucha in a lung is not kosher, unless it's two unos which are adhering in order, below the halfway point, towards the root. Also, an una to an umma if it's in order, in a similar fashion. Kavanasa and its intent is eilu. It is on these two general principles. The una which is adhering from its back to the wall, and an umma which is adhering to the wall where there's a wound. The meaning is widespread to treif them up. Marshal and the Yam Shlomi schema din makor badofen. He agreed to the halacha of the wound in the wall. Because according to Rashi Lomza, you need to have a check. Even when there's a wound in the wall, we're not expert at this check. But a sircha from the back of an una to the wall, where the wall closes up. The Rashi does also agree that it's mutter even without a bdika because of the narrow chest cavity. Forbidden for naught. And cause a loss to Jewish money. But Marshal not understanding, elder conceded to Rema. They sustain the words of Rema. This is widespread custom. Barov are installed in most of the cities of Israel. Therefore, we're very brief in these halachas. Also, when there's an una which is adjacent to the wall, there's also a medina. Even an una which is adjacent to the wall, there's a reason to be matriv, because there are Rishonim who hold that also by una which is adjacent to the wall. You need to check it out, Medina, according to the letter of the law. We're not expert at this check. But there's some those who hold that being in Savich Dafka, that's not enough, that it's low sarach. It's not enough that the hearing, it's got to be enmeshed. But we don't know the difference. You should know, until today, there are bakama kaimas in several places. They're not paskened like the stringency of the Rema. Psak but I like to be safe in makka badofen. If there's a wound in the wall, they say it's kosher without checking it. And with an una which is adhering to the wall, those are machsh as well. And the city in which I now dwell, Navardik, they're machsh in this case. That's why I spent a long time explaining these halachas. This is something which is customary in in many of the cities for many generations. That Sha'agas Aryeh, but this is based on the Sha'agas Aryeh HaRav who passed this way. If you know Gukain, P or Ras, I'm going to have a marine of David Zal Baal Mechaber Sefer Galia Maseches, and in the Vardik they had this custom based on the Vardik HaRav, the Galia Maseches. I saw one of them was bitter about this. And there is not enough in all of his words reason to undermine this custom. Certainly this custom was just a simple custom. That they were custom according to the Rema. I'm sorry. This is just a custom. In the sense, it's a simple custom. She do that they knew she's varim eilu mutar pidin. They knew that these are the things are strictly speaking permitted. As eilu, but they accepted these stringencies. There'd be a neder. You wouldn't be matzir because anything which you know you're doing a severity is considered neder if you're doing it. But the truth is that this is a different type of minhag because it was founded on opinions of poskim who are machmir according to the letter of the law. There's a capacity afterwards to the Rav who's sitting on the chair of psak. To join together with the sages of the city when they have another opinion, leave soko so when it seems to them that they should pass another opinion, leave soko so they can pass the other opinion and without any hataras neder because it's a psak issue, not a minhag issue. It's an interesting idea. It was more easy to change the psak than a minhag. The Magi Mishnah says the following. Of course, the Rishon. The places where their custom was not to say it's kosher by inflation, by the test, because they held like those who asked, and then they wanted to change their mind and go along with the matirim. They can renege. Whoever that is wrote that. According to this, we learn the all this Magi Mishnah speaking. The in a place they have a custom. And they want to change it. They can change it. Since it wasn't a gather, which would be a nether, which would require more of a procedure to matir that nether somehow, which would be very difficult if it was a nether which everybody in the city accepted by themselves. But they hold like those who forbid. Just beyond them. As long as they want to go back and accustom themselves and go according to those who are matir, because they reconsider the decision, they have permission to do so. As long as it's with the agreement of the chachamim, who are found in the city at that time, based on their majority. And these words have a basis and a foundation and a source. I don't have any word there. Basis and a source from the Gemara and the Gaonim. Somebody who goes to a place where the custom is to forbid, to a place where the place is to permit, is a mind to go back. He has to be careful not to eat this meat when he's in the Vardik. They're going to come to Volozhin in a minute. When he knows, assuming he knows, it's a big assumption, that this meat is against his minhag makom. But under generic circumstances, you don't have to be concerned. And you don't have to ask. Most animals are kosher, according to all opinions, and the brackets he adds, the kelim you don't have to be concerned at all. Now, I want to tell you a very interesting story, which I quote in my essay on eilu debatable chaim. I'm reading from what I wrote. Okay. HaGaon Rabbi Yechiel Michel Gordon, that's how Lomza related an individual in Volozhin suffered from a certain form of lung disease. The person intended to leave the city and move to a place with better air. The individual's father appeared to him in a dream and told him that his specific form of lung disease was the subject of a machlokes between the Rema and the Sha'agas Aryeh. That's our machlokes. The Rema held that if this particular form of lung disease occurs in a cow, then the animal is treif, as it is incapable of living for another year. The Sha'agas Aryeh had paskened that an animal with this disease is nonetheless kosher. The fascinating history of the psak of umma, haserucha, ladofen, makka, badofen is well documented. See, for instance, Makor Baruch, that's Mima's autobiography, chapter 17, section 2. The father therefore warned his son to remain in Volozhin. His rationale was that in Volozhin, the Sha'agas Aryeh is town, the psak, and therefore the Ratzon Hashem followed the ruling of Sha'agas Aryeh. The disease would not threaten this person's life as long as he remained there. Were he, however, to leave Volozhin, he would fall under the ruling of the Rema, would be at mortal risk. I am indebted to Rabbi Avraham Kivelevitz to find the source of this ma'aseh in Rabbi Menachem M's essay in the Yechiel Sha'agas Aryeh, Maduras Machon Chasim Sefer, note 2, if you want to look it up over there. This is fascinating sideline on this. It's like that. If the entire lung is clinging to the wall, Makor Baruch, if there's no wound in the wall, treif. There's no way to check it. Even if it's completely adhering, clinging. I feel Volozhin without any gaps. Of those who wrote somebody who permits this, who bar nidui, should be put into chayrim. And for the kalim in which this meat was cooked are also. In the entire roof of an umma, from the place where the umma is complete, not sure exactly means like that, and above is clinging to the spine. Because of Rash Hashem Rash writes it's kosher. It seems that this is the way it normally grows. When the entire roof is clinging to the shadow. But if there's a gap, that not the entire roof is clinging to the shadow, treif, it's treif, tour. That's from the tour. Those who say that feel that it should be nisrach, if there's an illusion of all the roofs of all the unos. I guess all it says kol gaga unos, kol gaga unos. Lasher to the spine, kosher. It's kosher. I feel yesh pizza. Even there's a gap. This distinction of pizza having a gap is only halacha by the una and not by the unos. That's it for today. Exciting day.